Pretend this pillow is Mr. Rochester, my beloved cat of yore. Part of why I bought this pillow was actually because it kind of reminded me of Mr. Rochester. I was watching some of my video reviews with him earlier today, and it really made me miss him. He was such a good cat, and he liked watching movies so much. My new cat, Miss Fanny Braun, is not a big fan of movies, so she doesn't really watch them. Sometimes she'll sit behind the computer when I'm watching. Sorry, my eye got all sore. Anyways, so I watched a bunch of movies tonight. I've been on this really big Frank Borzage kick. I really love him. He's one of my favorite directors. But there's a bunch of his films that I haven't seen. Actually, like a ton. He made like 80 movies. But I was trying to catch up on some of them that I had access to. So I watched three, one from 31, 32, and 33 tonight. The first one was called Bad Girl. Borzage won his second Oscar for this. He won the very first Best Director Oscar for Seventh Heaven, and then he won again in 1931 for Bad Girl, which was a film nominated for Best Picture. It it has a very deceptively racy title and insanely racy poster that makes you think it's like about sex, basically, and like it is one of the least racy. God, my eye. It's one of the least racy pre-code films I've ever seen. It's about a woman who's a model, and she hates dudes and is really good at lying at them to get them to leave her the fuck alone. And she meets a guy who hates women, and I'm actually not really sure why she finds him attractive because he's a bit of a dick, but it's 1931, so who knows. And they manage to charm each other, and they decide to get married, but they're both fucking really bad at communicating with each other, and so because of their inability to communicate, they keep having issues in their marriage, especially when she becomes pregnant. And it has a happy ending, but it basically is one of those movies that shows that that my eye won't stop watering. That a lot of the strife in marriage comes from, and any relationship really comes from, a lack of communication, and you should just freaking tell each other how you feel on subjects, especially if you're going to meld your lives together. So the next film I watched was actually the favorite one of all the ones that I watched, and I wish I had saved it for last, but I was watching in chronological order, was After Tomorrow. It's another Charles Farrell film. His voice is less bad in this film than it is in a lot of films. Oh my god, I'm sorry, I keep rubbing my eye. It won't stop watering. This one also had Marion Nixon in it, and it's about a couple who have been engaged for a very long time, and they keep not getting married because they can't afford it, and they live with each other's parents, and basically half of all of their paychecks go towards supporting their parents. Charles Farrell lives with his mother, who is a widow, who won't move in with them if they get married, and so like he can't support a house and her. Marion Nixon's parents are in an unhappy marriage. Her mother is clearly stepping out, and so that's causing strife. Eventually, they've saved enough money. You think they're going to get married, but then more shenanigans go down, and they can't get married. And they just keep having to fight against all these stupid moochers in their family to get to a place where they can afford to be with each other. And it's a very sweet film, and has a lot of great realistic characters in it. But what I loved the most was the two of them. They were very sweet together and had like little moments. I think there's this one neighborhood girl who keeps trying to steal Charles Farrell, and he, he flirts back a little bit, but you can always tell that that what he feels for his girl is just so much stronger. And he has all these like nicknames for her, and it's a very sweet film. there's a moment about halfway through the film where you finally get to see Charles Farrell's like wild, crazy hair because it's the 32 at this point, so he's wearing like his hat for a lot of the film, and then the hat comes off and there's just hair everywhere, and it's beautiful. So I really loved this film. I thought it was gorgeous, and really my kind of romance, where all of the jerk antagonists are the rest of the family, and both the people who are both members of the couple are not assholes, and they're kind of great, and it's the couple against antagonists. I like that a little bit more than these films where the antagonists are the two or one or the other of the couple. Which brings us to Man's Castle, which on iCheck Movies is on like a ton of lists, and it's like supposedly this masterpiece, and I just don't see it. I didn't like Spencer Tracy. He gives a good performance because he's Spencer Tracy, but the character is such an asshole, and Loretta Young's character is just so naive that you're just like, you probably would be better off in the river at this point. Because it's another film, sort of, that was a horrible thing to say, I'm sorry. It was another film that reminded me of Lilium, where, although I didn't hate it as much as Lilium, because Lilium was straight up, like, basically saying abusive dudes are okay. But, like, he's a pretty abusive dude, and he's a bit of a shithead, and you're supposed to buy that, like, it's okay that they're a couple when he really is not a good person, and he's irresponsible, and he's a bit of an asshole, and you're supposed to like buy it because occasionally he does sweet things. Like, I don't like films that have abrasive, terrible men, and we're supposed to like, I'm supposed to somehow I'm supposed to not melt with my eye. Oh my god. Anyways, I'm supposed to somehow like empathize with his character and follow along with his story when I would never in my life spend an hour and a half with someone like that. I would talk to him for 2 minutes and be like, get the fuck out of my life. You're horrible. So I find it hard to care about movie characters that are like that. And I just mostly felt bad for the Loretta Young character that, like, she was so far at the bottom of the barrel that this guy was, like, the best thing she had going for her. Like, ugh. So I was not a fan of Man's Castle. But After Tomorrow, I highly recommend. That's a beautiful gem of a film, and you should seek that one out. So this was 3 films by Frank Borzage, Bad Girl, After Tomorrow, and Man's Castle. The only Bad Girl's good for historical purposes. Man's Castle, I was not a fan of. After Tomorrow, I highly recommend. It's a beautiful, beautiful film.